Dear Taurus, I am Jamie Dawn, your evolutionary revolutionary astrologer, bringing you your April 2021 horoscope. And we're going to dive right in, especially because the sun moves into your sign on the 20th. So I get to say happy birthday, dear Taurus. But let's start with the first part of April. And we've got Mercury entering Aries. So it is going to be leaving Pisces and moving into your 12th house. Now, I do understand 12th house has a tendency to have a very bad reputation because it is considered the house of the undoing. But the thing I love about 12th house is that it allows us to go really deep into the subconscious. It allows us to remove any restrictions or boundaries that we may be feeling in this human form and to be able to play in the spiritual subconscious realm. Now, with Mercury in Aries here, there could be a lot of talks behind the scenes. Maybe you have some ideas that you're going to just hold close to your chest for a little while. And then when Mercury moves into Taurus later in the month, you'll be ready to launch your ideas out into the world and use this first part of April as a way to percolate and to gestate and to maybe connect to a greater sense of yourself. You may be having questions, answers, conversations with your spiritual self, your guides, a teacher. Maybe you pull yourself into seclusion in your mind, maybe contemplating and meditating on things like, who am I? Why am I here? What does it all really mean? It's a great time for you to kind of reset some things to be ready to launch for your birthday, for this new birth year, this solar year for yourself. You may be seeing yourself as an individual contributor to the greater whole. And there may be some secrets that you're asked to keep for others, or there may be secrets about yourself that you're willing to share with others, but only those that you trust. So your private thoughts are also going to be very important during this time, and being able to really identify your true self, your independent self, like who you are outside of the constructs of this human experience. The other thing you may do is some spiritual teaching. You yourself may contemplate this wonderful spiritual gift that you have, because we all have them, and you may be trying to organize it in a way that allows you to receive more intuitive information and be able to put it into a place that says, this is my way of being an individual in the collective, my individual expression in the collective. And that can come out, like I say, when Mercury moves into Taurus, which I'll talk about. But before I get to that, we have a new moon in Aries. So this new moon is going to be in your 12th house, further activating your hopes, your dreams, your mystical experiences, that subconscious that's bubbling to the surface. I don't know if I mentioned this, but it's on the 11th of April. So you have some time to prepare for it at the beginning of the month. You may feel also a little more needy than usual during this new moon. That's okay. You're always giving to others. You're always there for other people. It's okay to have moments where you feel you need something, and it could be caused because you've done this soul searching, and this urge to find some level of emotional peace of mind is setting in. And so you need somebody maybe to process with. You may need to pull yourself out of the moment and go into some form of seclusion or quiet time so that you can recharge your batteries. And this new moon can also have you reviewing, letting go, and being kind of recharging that spiritual nature. So more emphasis on that spiritual experience where you're a human, but you're having I guess I should reverse that, the statement, we're spiritual beings having a human experience. But if anybody understands the humanness, it's Taurus, because you're all about the body and the senses. And so this is a wonderful time for you to recharge the spiritual nature. The other thing that this new moon can offer is it could bring in, if you're single, looking for a new relationship, or you're wanting to renew your current partnership, you can do it through a spiritual means. So if you are going to a meditation retreat, or you're going to some sort of, spiritual setting. And I realize we're in the middle of COVID. You can do this online as well. However, there are some places that you can actually physically go, even though you're social distance and that sort of thing. You can also, it may be that you decide to sign up for one in the future. And that allows you to be able to meet somebody down the road, or as you're connecting with someone for this retreat, I'll just use that as an example, that you start talking and you realize there's this beautiful connection. And then when you finally do meet in person down the road, it's just a further emphasis of what you've already started. You may also focus now on fulfillment through service, empathy, an awareness of other people's needs. This new moon can make it super heightened for you, where you're so tuned into the collective and you're ready to be of service for others. The downside to this is you may need to withdraw just because you could go in empathy overload. So do pay attention to that, please. Now we've got movement into your first house, into Taurus, your sign. April 14th, Venus moves into your sign, which is your ruler. And this is going to make you even more magnetic and attractive to others, very charming. And it's often going to show up where it's like you're wearing your heart on your sleeve. And you may attract friendships and express love in a very diplomatic and peaceful and warm kind of way. So again, if you're single looking for love, this is a great time for you just to shine and be yourself. It's going to be easy for you to attract attention in a good way. And I will say that if you're partnered with somebody, this is a great time to receive that adoration from your partner. So let them lavish you with gifts, or let them lavish you with expressions of love, whatever, allows you to feel that you're the queen or king of the day, of the month. You may attract others, to you very easily or come on a little too strongly. So just be aware that, because like the moth to the flame, because your energy is so attractive, it could be very easily for people to come on to you. So you may have to set some boundaries there. Some negative expressions with Venus here in your first house is that there could be some superficial charm, or maybe you play the silly, I hate using the word dumb, but you sort of play like you're the ignorant. I don't know what you're talking about. So you do want to be careful of that, because you're a very intelligent, strong human being that has so much love to give. So it's important for you to show up as your authentic self. And the need to be liked by others could be emphasized. What happens when we want to be liked by others? We start looking for outward validation, and it robs us of our own internal peace. Or if we are shining and we're being all attractive and peaceful and loving and artful, then and we don't get the outside validation or responsiveness, it can create resentment. It can create feelings of unworthiness, or like, what did I do wrong? And so do pay attention that could also come into play. This is where good healing, it also is where I would say having good, strong friendships and partnerships in your life to remind you of who you are is important. You could also find this time could be a way of making it difficult to make really solid decisions. So if that comes up, that's where you lean in with your people and you say, hey, help me out here. Or you withdraw for a minute, regroup, use that time that you spent with the 12th house activated, use that time to remember, oh, wait, these are the things I've learned, or here's my spiritual teacher, let me check in with them. Because one of the things that most of us realize is that when you're doing this deep spiritual work, or you're doing self-improvement, or you're learning something new, you have to have practice. So you may get into this spiritual dojo and you have situations that show up so you can practice what you learned when you were on retreat, or when you were trying to figure out, who am I, why am I here, what am I doing? The other thing is, now Mercury, 5 days later on the 19th, moves into your sign right before the sun, which I get to say happy birthday, Taurus, moves into your sign on the 20th. So we're going to have you with communication, thoughts, learning things from a very creative and beautiful way. You may even decide that you speak out about something that you are firmly passionate about. And I say that because on the 23rd, Mars moves into Cancer in your third house. further emphasizing this need to communicate, taking a stance. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But let me keep talking about Mercury in Taurus. And that is that you may be very slow and methodical in processing information, but once you've got it, you're ready to talk about it. You've got a strong opinion, and people can rely on your information as being truthful, as being something that you've done the research on. And you know, especially when Mercury was in Aries in that 12th house, you may have researched something so much that by the time Mercury moves into Taurus in that first house, you're like, now I'm ready to share everything that I've learned. So this means that you could be speaking or teaching. Maybe there's writing involved, curriculums come into play here. Also, it's a great placement if you're an actor or a playwright or a film director. This is the time where you may launch your new act or your new play, your new film. You may find that you get a lot of support for your ideas and your creative endeavors by sharing your ideas with others. And you've done it because you've processed it and put it together in such a beautifully organized way that people could basically, they can't refuse joining you on this mission on getting this out there because you're so attractive. Remember, Venus is in your house, in your first house there. So they're going to be naturally drawn to you. Now, the other thing that could happen is you could find yourself in a heavy debate with others, or you become the spokesperson for something that you have built or designed as well. And let me continue to talk about the sun energizing that first house, making you even more in the spotlight. And so I would say that second half of April and into the first part of May, that you're going to find yourself highlighted and that people naturally get attracted to you. The other thing, Mars and Cancer, as I mentioned before, third house, your need to nurture others through your words, maybe through counseling, speaking out against something that could be harming them, maybe standing up for family. You're going to be this warrior of words. And I would say that also you may find yourself in a pretty heavy debate because you're trying to get your point across, and you most likely won't give it up easily. You might get involved in these trivial arguments, or you can inspire others with your words, and they can, because they feel safe and they feel really cared for by what you say. And because you'll take your time with them and you'll be able to help them build maybe a process in which they can overcome whatever is plaguing them, whatever they feel they are unsafe with. You may have a desire to communicate, and that could cause some friction, especially if your partner or somebody that you are really attracted to or that you feel protective over, if they're withdrawn, because we can't control what somebody else is going to do. But if they're feeling like they need space and they're just not communicating, but you're like, I need to talk to you, and I have all these ideas, and this is how we should do it, they may not be open to you. So that could create some friction there with Mars. You and your sibling may also get into arguments because it's in this third house, or you join forces, you assemble all this energy, this desire, and you stand up together for a particular issue. This doesn't apply to every Taurus, but I would imagine there's a couple of you that maybe have an aging parent that a decision needs to be made for them, and you come together or you argue about it. And most likely, Taurus, because you're a nurturer, and with Mars and Cancer here, you may end up being the one that ends up taking care of the situation. Now, you may also be driven to talk about something over and over and over again with Mars here because you feel you're out of control in the situation. And so talking about it lets your mind sort of wrap around and understand it. And then you feel a little more settled, a little less nervous about it. And because the more you know, the more secure you could feel. Now, keep in mind, that could drive people a little crazy, but most likely you're not going to give up very easily on this. Another thing I just want to point out, because we've got a full moon in Scorpio at the end of the month, so it's opposite your sign. It's going to be the 26th, 27th. I want to make a little connection here. Venus, Mercury in your first house, Mars and Cancer in your third, full moon in Scorpio in your seventh. I want you to see how these are going to be working together. You may be finding that it's going to be very easy for Venus and Mars, our cosmic lovers, to be sextiling each other, talking to each other, working together. But then you've got a full moon in Scorpio, which is going to challenge your partnerships and your relationships because it's in that seventh house. And this is your house of commitments. This is your house of where have I committed myself to this person or this partnership, or maybe my partner or partnership. Can I say partnership being in the professional realm? Where have maybe they're struggling with something that I need to help them with? And I'm going to make sure that I stand on this soapbox. I make sure that I fight for what's important for them. It may be those of you Tauruses who have had conflict in relationship, that new information gets revealed at this full moon that can separate you, or that can create trust issues or intimacy issues that need to be worked through. The good news here is that Venus and Mars in a sextile is a positive aspect. It just means that it takes a little bit of effort. So if you're willing to work with this new information that may come to light, then it can deepen the bonds that you have and create great healing. And it can offer, if you're willing, great forgiveness. Now, I know that that's not an easy process, especially if whatever gets revealed feels like betrayal, especially if it brings up trust issues. However, if you're willing to work through it, which Taurus, you're so good at staying with something, sometimes too long, but I would say that this is a wonderful full moon for you to be able to deepen the bonds that you have in relationship, both personal or professional. It may be that you help your partner understand and heal some trust issues that they may have had with others or with a particular situation. The other thing with this full moon, of course, intense emotions can come to the surface, which needs to be released in some sort of way. With it being in Scorpio, if you have a sexual partner, that's a wonderful way to release emotion. If that's not the situation that you're in, it could be a wonderful opportunity for you to be of service to somebody else, to join forces with somebody and do some healing work. It's a great place for body healing. Maybe there's a retreat also, talking about retreats that you've signed up for, that allows you to do some real good self-care, bringing trust back to yourself, back to your body, back to who you are, bringing greater intimacy to yourself. The other thing is you may take a risk in deepening the intimacy in your partnerships, meaning seventh house, if it's business, you may invest deeper into that partnership. If it's marriage, or if it's a committed relationship, a bonded relationship, you may mix it up in the bedroom and say, you know what, let's do something different than that I've been afraid to do before. But now, because I trust you more, we're going to do this. Or we're going to invest in something together. Or we're going to, take a chance at something, have a deeper conversation about something I was afraid to talk about before. The other thing that this full moon, I'll just leave you with this, is that you could make an agreement with those that you're closest to and form stronger bonds, bigger commitments that come into play for you. And that can just deepen and enrich your life in a way that says, yeah, now we're finally making that turn into something even better than we imagined. All right, Taurus, I certainly hope that this helps. Please like, subscribe, share to this channel. Find me at jamiedawn.com, and I look forward to hearing how this goes. I'm here to support you however I can. Take care.